Welcome to the reading on moving forward. This is April 24th, 2020. We will set the intention now for the reading. My intention is to be a clear channel for the information most needed to be received right now by everyone on the call, in the now and in the future. Creator, this is your daughter, Titania. I am here with your other daughters and others on the call, both now and in the future, who are seeking answers to the energies of this time, seeking clarity and wisdom, grounding and balancing, enlightenment, empowerment. I offer myself as a clear channel for the information that is most needed right now, to provide that to our gathering in a way that is clear and effortless, uplifting and empowering, healing, and deeply reconnecting with you. I'd like to invite my higher self and the higher self of all those who are participating now and in the future to be present to facilitate this exchange and ensure that it happens in the highest and clearest and best way possible for the highest and greatest of all concerned, good of all concerned. I invite my higher self, as well as the four archangels, to come and hold the four directions around us, creating a sacred space of healing, of light, of wisdom, of empowerment, pulling all of our divergent energies together in one place, both now and future selves, creating a container where all of this goodness and wisdom and enlightenment and empowerment can happen. I invite Raphael to hold the east, Michael to hold the south, Gabriel to hold the west, and Uriel to hold the north. Thank you for being here now with us, wherever we may be. We set the tone for ease, for clarity, for wisdom, for upliftment, for everything that is in our collective heart and mind at this time, understanding that each of us is the microcosm of the microcosm, and so our questions will help any others, because we are all one, ultimately. We set this intention for this love, for this beauty, for this healing time, for this wisdom and this understanding of the times we are working through right now. I invite everyone to just take 3 deep breaths, to get present, to be here now, to open to receiving the wisdom. We're going to start with the first question or intention of, what is it that we need to know right now about moving forward and the energy point at this time? It feels to me like there's a shifting that's happening, or maybe a rustling. We've been happy at home, we've been doing our things, those of us who've been isolating, and there's a feeling of a little restlessness is what I'm getting. And so I'm curious about that, and I'm curious about what we need to know about where we are right now. And so that's what this first spread will address. So I'm going to do it in a 3-card, where we've come from, where we are now, and where we're going. Okay, Tina, I'm just going to mute you. I'm trying to... Okay, so where we are coming from. The card is conflict, competition. Bring that up a bit so you can see it better. So this is the energy of where we're coming from. It's sort of this feeling. It's this feeling of restlessness. It's a card of wands, which is inspiration and passion, and this sort of, the energy is that of butting heads, of being in resistance, being in a state of non-flow. As I said, maybe this is the energy of that restlessness that I'm picking up on. That's what this feels like to me, is this feeling of, okay, how long is this going to take? When are we going to be done? Are we done already? Come on already, let's get back to normal. And that's interesting that we're feeling like there's parts of us that are ready to get going again. There's parts of us that are ready to be in circulation again, be in movement again, seeing the world, seeing each other, being in relatedness, and yet there's also a sense that we're not, it's not time to come out yet, or we haven't been given permission. Let's put it that way. And so there's a sense in the recent past where we're coming from, of this feeling of something's got to give. I'm ready to start moving. And what's great about whenever we're feeling that kind of a restlessness, or a pushing against, or it's again, anytime we have an experience, it's information for us. It's clarifying for us what is it that we want. It's helping us to understand what our preferences are, if we can step back and look at it and use it as the benchmark for what is wanted, from clarity about what we don't want. So anyway, we'll go with that. And so where we are at right now, card of reevaluation and the Four of Hearts. So we have this card of restlessness, and yet we're coming into this present moment, present time right now, this card of reevaluation. And this is important because obviously it's not time to emerge yet. There's something still that needs to be done. There's work still that needs to be done. So you see the woman is sitting, and she's got a box of treasures, and she's going through them, and she's looking at them carefully and allowing herself to walk down that memory lane and revisit love. It's these experiences in her life that have informed her and made her who she is. And that's the card of this reevaluation of this time. It's again, this time of inwardness, of who are we? What are we longing for? What is our heart calling us to? What are the things that have brought us to this present moment? And you see here too, she has a lotus on the top of her head. She's in a state of peaceful meditation, contemplation. This isn't an upsetting thing. This is a contemplative, reflective, inward, but directed time of being in this state of flowing and easing, and looking at, again, who am I, and what do I long for in my self-expression, in the world? What am I seeking from the world? We need to be coming from that deep place within each of us. And that may be, because we are not quite there yet, is why this hasn't shifted yet. We're not ready to emerge yet. There's still more of this to be done. I know some of you are thinking, oh my goodness, haven't I done enough? But there's a deeper level. And maybe it's the integration of the self with the world. Yeah. Okay. Moving forward. So we have the card, the Ten of Wands, and oppression. So that's a heavier card. If you look at the picture, sorry, you see the man, he's carrying a burden of 10 wands. And it looks heavy, how he's got his body posture. And I think my sense with this card is are we carrying what's ours? There's a lot of story in our world. There's a lot of many narratives. There are many different perspectives. There are many different institutions and thought structures that want our energy, that want us to be giving them our time, our attention, our emotions. And we really need to be in a state of groundedness and centeredness within ourselves as to what's important to us, so that we're not pulled into this space of pulled off our center by other people's agendas or interests, well-meaning or otherwise. We're so connected right now in the world with the computer. We have this opportunity for stillness. We have this opportunity to go within, to get centered, to get grounded. But it's easy to distract too. It's easy too to get pulled into fear, into worry, into that which takes us off of our center and our path. So what I'm seeing, the movement that we're going towards is, it's important not to skip this part. It's important not for us to we need to take the time to be this here now, so that we can move into whatever's coming from a more resilient perspective, from a deeper, more grounded and centered place. I think what's true is we have work to do. I mean, the planet, we've seen how quickly it can heal when we're out of the picture, but we can't go back to doing things the way we've done things. And so there's work involved for each of us to take responsibility in our own lives and make decisions about, how are we going to do this differently? How are we going to live our lives differently? Are we can continue to jet set around the world and go to conferences and meetings all over the place? Like, is that really responsible? Is that really an integrity? And so this card of oppression, the more centered and grounded and connected we are to ourselves and our inner wisdom and source, to higher power, the clearer we will be in dealing with these questions of the burdens that we're facing collectively as humanity and individually in our lives. Where are we going to put our energy? Where are we going to put our precious life force? Are we going to allow it to be dissipated by the various narratives that are out there who want to have a piece of us? Or are we going to live intentionally in our lives on purpose, driving our bus from our hearts and from our inner knowingness? So that's the sense that I'm getting right now. We're not, there's restlessness. We're not there yet. It's not time yet. We still have this work to do. We still need to connect. And again, like they say with flattening the curve, it'll go a lot faster if we all just do it. And so where can we, each of us, take the time in our daily lives to really do this reevaluation, to reevaluate how we have been in the world, and to reevaluate our place in the world and our contribution to the world, because this is important going forward. We're all here for a reason. We're all here for a purpose. We have gifts to give, information to bring. And how do we want to bring that to life? Rather than getting stuck under, again, somebody else's agenda or somebody else's vision for how things are going to go, bring it back to us so that we can step forward into this with that complete and solid within ourselves. Does anyone want to talk about this or ask questions on this? Because we can go further into these cards.
I have a question or a comment. As always, these cards are right on. And I've been feeling the same sense that other people that I'm communicating with are in that same boat, so to speak. What I'm also hearing is that there's nothing yet coalescing, but there's a burgeoning feeling of a need for creating a new way. And as you say, the cards are saying we're not quite there yet. We still have more inner work and clarity and contemplation of how and what we're choosing and how to move forward. What is this world that we're not wanting to go back to? What is this new world, this new earth that we are in opportunity to create something different with? And so there's a sense that there's a need to coalesce people together and brainstorm, talk about these things, start thinking together, as well as the individual reflection of what is, our vision for 2030, what is our manifesto for the new earth, what are we choosing and how are we choosing to move forward, even just to start engaging in groups to have those conversations. So I would invite a clarification of that third card, of our future, of the oppression, that we can't skip this part. However, we're also, looking in this reading as the intention, how do we move forward right now? So the future card to me is fundamental in this reading. So if it's still, feeling oppression, what could be clarified around what the next steps are through this oppression?
Great. Thanks, Maureen.
Can I add to that, Titania, or do you want to wait? Or
No, please.
No,
do
jump in.
that.
my observation as well is with the future card and the heaviness that it shows us, right? And the observation of going within and the not being ready. And I think my question is about the quality of that heaviness and going in to understand more. Is there a layer of acceptance still that we are it actually comes back to, so I mean, there's that word layer of acceptance for sure that's present for me, but it goes back to what really rang for me was when you said it's like flattening the curve, and there was so much wisdom in that, because we have flattened the curve so quickly because we all just did it. And that was the message that I heard about when you mentioned that, like if we just did it, whatever it is about the future. So there's some sort of connection between doing it, whatever it is, and the heaviness of the card. And then the word acceptance, that those three pieces are really alive for me
Yeah.
in this.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, let's start. Why don't we pull a card on both the reevaluation and the oppression, and we'll just see what clarity we get from there and take it from there. So we're wondering about the now, what it is that we're needing, and that the card here is celebration. So that's an interesting thing. Maureen, you talked about coming together with others. And certainly when we celebrate, that's what we do, isn't it? We come together and we celebrate. We take whatever it is that we are gathering around and we elevate it by our attention and our presence and our notice of it and our enjoyment of it. We come together and enjoy things together. And this card of reevaluation, when you look at this, these are hearts that are coming out of her box. These are things that are loved, beloved pieces, beloved aspects. And this energy of celebration, of love, of, so each of us as individuals pulling out these pieces of life that we love, these pieces of ourselves that we love and we want to move forward into the world, and identifying them. And then this idea of celebration, of coming together with others around our love, our collective love, our love for this planet, our love for the gifts that we have to offer it. And maybe it's not about the doing so much, but about the appreciation and the celebration and the gratitude, the basking in what is it that we love about the world? What is it that we love about the possibility space that we find ourselves in? What is it that we would love to see happen in the world? So and celebrating that together. Sharing things that are uplifting, sharing the stories, sharing the resources that help to vision that world. I don't know about you guys, but I've been really enjoying some permaculture videos talking about this, how we can coexist with the planet, about observing nature and working with nature, not dominating nature. And I find that very nourishing and inspiring and fulfilling. Not that I want to go become a permaculture farmer, but because it's a way forward. It's a body of wisdom and knowledge. It's a tool. It's a way of interacting with life on a level playing field as a participant, as a collaborator in life, rather than as the dominant force. And so I've shared some of these and had some wonderful conversations with others around it, coming to the same sort of energetic place of coming together around these concepts, these ideas, these visions, these tools that could inform our future vision for this planet. So this idea, again, as you say, Maureen, this sharing, not from a place of heaviness, oh, have to, oh, cleaning up the world is going to be hard work. No, it's about celebrating that vision of the world, celebrating what it could be, celebrating the fact that we see the animals having their fun in these parts of the world that they don't usually access, seeing the oceans cleaning up, the skies clearing, all of these things, celebrating that, and being in that energy of what it could look like. Now on to the card of oppression and the clarity we want around this state, this energy. And the card is discipline. So really, that's interesting. So discipline, it can sound really harsh, right? You get this idea of, I think about the military. I see these stripes here and I think about the military and somebody telling you what to do and how to do it. And it's very intense and not very fun because it takes away your freedom. But instead, reframing the concept of discipline as a container. What is the container? What are the parameters so that going forward, we are crafting from a wise place. We're crafting from a parameter place. As an artist, when you're having a show, you have a date, you have a theme, you have a location. That becomes the container for your show, and you create your body of work to that. And I'm sure it's the same in other disciplines as well. And understanding that container piece is really, really important for us in terms of what we want for the world going forward. So some ideas, for example, in terms of crafting that container would be honoring the planet, honoring the water, the air, the other creatures that we coexist with. That idea of permaculture, living with, not against, or dominating. These ideas that we can take forward that can become a framework for managing this oppression, this feeling of overwhelm at the concept of, holy doodle, this planet needs help in a big way. We've made a big mess of it. Oh my God, where do we begin? And instead, starting with just crafting what that container will look like. Again, respect for all life, I think is from my perspective, is fundamental to this. Does this help or clarify? Do we want to go further into these? Does this make sense?
I loved, really illuminated the center card about celebrating, like when the like shifting. It's not even about reframing. It's just about where I put my focus, and the focus of celebrating the air and celebrating what's happening in our oceans now. And like I really, really was so helpful about right now. And then the discipline piece around the word container was also really helpful. I'm not sure about this. I'm curious about this, about the future, and the concept of not being ready. And I can hear my mind wanting to put a time frame on what the phase of future is.
Yes. Yeah.
Can really feel that. And then the word discipline is very helpful, because then whatever time it is whatever it is. But my job is to hold the container of my own discipline for my contribution to future. Based on what I know to do.
Yeah, one of the other things that was coming up was this idea of we need to keep chopping wood and carrying water. The discipline of our day-to-day lives, in terms of what's the container of our daily life for ourselves, and having one that is respectful and hold space for the things that we prioritize, for the things that we value, for the things that are important to us. Because we are all in this together, and who we are as individuals and what we're holding as individuals will inform the collective. And so it's clear to me that both these cards, as you're saying, Tina, it would be so nice to have that timeline to know when it's the finiteness or the container on this from that perspective. But understanding that we're still in the waiting room. We don't know where it's going yet, but where it's going to go is informed by this, by our celebration of the things that we love, by our celebration of our relationships and our homes and our communities and our planet and all the beauties that are here. And trusting, using this discipline not to get sidetracked, not to get pulled off our centers, not to get distracted and going into a fear-based place in our creating, but rather from a disciplined place of self-intention and self-awareness, crafting the future that we're wanting to have from celebration, from love, from awareness, rather than from subconscious, knee-jerk, reactionary energy. Thanks, Tina, because that helped pull that piece through.
Mm-hmm. And what I was also feeling about that middle card, it's a 3 of hearts, and 3, in my understanding, is communication. So as we share and celebrate what we love, that is informing the container that we are creating to move forward with, and needing under the circumstances to really keep clarity and focus and discipline. Like really, really important that we don't lose this opportunity, that we really, really need, not just like after 911 and the huge, response, and then gradually everything returned to normal, and the interactions of people with people and people with the environment didn't really change long term. Shopping came back with stuff, greater than before. So, to be really mindful of our hearts and communicate that and come together and celebrate what is important, what we do value, and as we reevaluate what is needed moving forward, and then to really keep that, how important and how strong that discipline is as we build that container together in a different way, and take the opportunity to be, shifting paradigms together and in that collaborative way. So I think that, that the strength of that card, and it's the 9 of Wands, right? So that's like a completion, where we're just really needing to complete, the shift between the old and the new, and coming together, as you say, with, new levels of respect and for all of life, and collaborating and co-creating and living with all of it, and honoring the planet, and no mistake that it's Earth Day, and that we're celebrating Gaia, and having a new awareness of what's going on, in the context of COVID. And so, yeah, we just have to really, as you say, keep chopping wood and carrying water, and being responsible and disciplined in our own worlds of what that means for us and what our peace is, and how we just need to really commit, to keeping that focus, and really be strong in holding the container for our peace, and coming together with others in a good way, not out of ego, but, knowing that this is a completion. We cannot, continue sustainably with the way things have been. And so, that also has been reflecting, and contemplating within my own self, that that's why we're not ready yet. It needs to be long enough, with enough reflection, and coming together, communicating and celebrating what is positive, what we do choose, what is good, what are the values that we collectively share. And we need to be really, really strong in that understanding, before we move into the, okay, so let's do it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And that's my sense too, is we're not there yet. We're still in the waiting room.
Yeah.
And I love this. I love this idea of celebrating, of really, really getting excited and inspired by the things that we love about our lives and about the world.
And
And
what are the possibilities, right?
yeah,
And what we're choosing, what we value, and coming together to create the container, and then, to me, that's a creative phase of celebrating and sharing values, sharing what our visions are. And then the container then self-emerges from that.
mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, definitely. And I think it's interesting too, because these are wands, and wands are all creative cards. The wands are creativity, inspiration, and passion. And yet, usually it's the fire sign. And so usually that's so full of energy and juice. And I'm not saying that it's not here. It's just, especially here with this card, it's this sort of feeling of heaviness around this, it's like, oh, it's too big to figure out. And that's why I think taking that step back and getting into the inspiration, getting into the excitement, getting into the good juicy juju, because we have all the solutions. We
Right.
do. We're amazing, resilient, regenerative creators. We have the visions, we have the tools, we have the know-how. There are all so many solutions waiting that exist already. They already exist. They're in the fringes. They haven't been given time and attention, but they're all there. And so where are we in terms of what we value and what's important to us, so that we can push these solutions into our lives, bring them in, call them out of the margins and into the middle, so that we can benefit from where they can take us. Yeah.
So I don't necessarily see that Nine of Wands as being heavy. I
Mm-hmm.
see it as being, weighted with importance.
Yes, intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Okay. Do we feel complete with this? Do either of you have other questions that you want to look at?
I have a question, and I'm not sure if it's about these cards, but it might be. And and I'm open to whatever feels right. But it's actually, I'm not even sure why I'm here, other than it might be the world I'm immersed in right now. But it's about the Indigenous piece. Because I can't not see this return to Earth, or as civilization as we know it stops, and not civilization itself, but the doingness of our civilization stops. It's like a return to home. It's a return to an experience of beginnings, which then takes me to First Peoples. So it's not just about the Indigenous piece of North America, but really the First Peoples. And I think I have a question about, like, there's a question there about the wisdom, about Indigenous wisdom, and if there's a voice there that wants to be heard. Okay. For us.
I'm gonna complete these then, and then I think we should go into that specifically.
Thank you.
Okay. So what do we need to know? I mean, let's formulate that intention of that question to pull it in.
Well, I just want to create awareness that yesterday, was that yesterday? Oh gosh, it's Friday already. Earth Day, Wednesday, there was a 3-hour ceremony of forgiveness, with the Indigenous elders from all over the planet. And, forgiveness prayer for ourselves, for Mother Earth, and in order to come into a new sense of balance to move forward with. And that Indigenous wisdom held space for us to have these new beginnings and this clarity moving forward. So that already is in the field of Indigenous people from all over the world having come together. Some of them who have never been on Wi-Fi or had any kind of telecommunication technology were brought into a space where they could participate. So it was a very profound ceremony.
It's amazing, isn't it? You think about this, the fact that we're all here together our little corners of the planet, these little places that we love. And then through this technology, people coming together, holding that energy together and holding that space together, like ceremony over over the Wi-Fi. I mean, there's something about it that really tickles me. Okay, so what do we need to know about our relationship to, because it feels like this is, our elders are the ones who hold the wisdom.
So perhaps what does the indigenous wisdom have to inform our movement forward?
Beautiful. Thank you, Maureen. So, oh, this is so good. Okay, so our first major arcana, and it's the Fool. And the Fool is the very first card of the major arcana, which are the pay attention cards. They're the soul development cards. When you get them, you really got to pay attention. And the energy of the Fool is being open-hearted and open-minded and open-eyed, and walking through the world in a state of wonder and celebration and enjoyment. This energy of, it's the qualities of the beginning of the journey, the beginning of the holidays. When you wake up and school is finished or you're off work and you have this time stretching out ahead of you, it's those qualities of excitement and inspiration and enthusiasm. You have all this time to be engaged with life in a really direct and unstructured way. And so this and it's spontaneous. It's this, the Fool is walking through the world with a staff and a bag and his dog, and he's heading out into life and open for the adventure. And so it's so interesting because we're pulling a card about what is the wisdom of the indigenous cultures, the First Nations cultures. What are they holding for us? What do we need from this at this time, this understanding? And it's being in the state of oneness and wonder with all life. This reconnecting to that spirit of adventure, that this world is a wondrous, amazing place where we can have these incredible experiences that open our hearts and our minds and our connections to each other, and that we can have an adventure, a collective great adventure together of beauty and magnificence and excitement and inspiration that lights our heart up and keeps moving us forward in a really, really good way. Any thoughts?
Oh my gosh. I just feel so freed up.
Yeah.
I love it. I just love it. It feels like I imagine myself, and this might, anyway, I'll just speak it. It sounds so silly, but I imagine myself a first people waking up every morning to the wonder of the planet versus waking up every morning and going, what can I do to get ahead? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. That difference of being in the world and savoring it and enjoying it.
Instead of getting ahead, waking up in our hearts, being in our hearts instead of getting ahead.
Very good, Maureen.
Mm-hmm. But there's also this sense of there's actually nothing to conquer.
Right.
Like as a first people, I mean, I have to admit, I know very, very little of Indigenous, because I know very little. I just wanted to say that. But I imagine if there was nothing, I just imagine that waking up and going and not having an energy in me that says, what do I have to conquer today?
Or the shoulds.
Mm-hmm. It's wonder, like the wonder for love's sake, the wonder for awe's sake, the wonder for reverence sake. What a different
yeah, and a return to innocence,
Mhm.
and I just been with my 18-month-old granddaughter, and seeing through her eyes, the wonder of the world, and so it's like looking at everything with new eyes, that's what we really need to do, don't we? We
Yeah.
need to revalue, really look at, things differently, with fresh perception.
Mhm. Definitely. Definitely.
And it is a good expansion on that, future Nine of Wands card, because as you said in your words with that, it's about honoring the planet, living with, and that's very indigenous, very first, people's concept, being, all my relations, living with in that, honoring, from that wisdom
Yeah.
and that respect for all life.
Hmm. That's really good. Really good.
So
Getting
good.
that.
All my relations is just like landed in my arms. Boom. Love it.
Okay. Does that feel complete, that piece?
Yes, for me.
Yes, for me.
Okay. How about anything else? Any other questions you may have?
Well, I feel complete, although, in that first reading that you did, about the whole situation, there was that suggestion, and we went into what does that mean for us individually. I don't know if that's relevant or important or not.
Sure. Well, I was thinking about that support card and obstacle card for each of you. Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to go first then?
Oh, I guess so. With my big mouth here.
So what we're doing right now then, the intention is to pull a card of what is supportive for you right now, and what do you need to know about any obstacles in your way right now,
Right.
with the understanding, of course, that we are all one, and so what you are standing in and facing is often what we are also standing in and facing as individuals.
Right.
So there'll be wisdom for anybody who's on the call through this. And so, card of what is supportive at this time, and what do you need to know about your obstacles? So what is supportive, and what do you need to know about your obstacles? So what do you want to start with?
Yeah, well, that was the question, wasn't it? How about the obstacles?
Okay, so let's have a look at the obstacles. So just being aware that obstacles are in our way to help us clarify. We always get clearer in life because we run up against obstacles and contrast, and it helps us to know what we want. So in this case, the card of obstacles and what you need to know about your obstacles is the Princess of Swords. And this is a card that references a new beginning in the area of ideas and action. And so because this is sitting in the position of obstacles, it just may not be time for you to take action, is often what it means. So there's a newness, new ideas, new ways of moving forward. And somehow this is sitting in your obstacle position, or what you're needing to know about your obstacles. And again, the sense is it's not time. It's good to take in the information. It's good to be aware. It's good to sift and assimilate. It's good to understand your preferences, all of that stuff. But in terms of actually taking action, it's not here yet. It's not here.
It's so interesting, Titania, because that's exactly what I've been feeling, and of course it is. And I haven't been jumping on a daily call to do an IRT protocol to help people through this, big trauma, and the airwaves have been flooded with everybody doing that, and I have not felt the call to do it. And I thought, what's wrong with you?
It's interesting
Right?
because Tina, you posted something about this too, about how there are just so many people stepping out and offering right now, putting all
That's
kinds of stuff
wonderful.
out there.
Yeah, and that's really wonderful. And yet I have not called to do that. And that's my main focus in life, that's my purpose. And so it's just like it's not time yet.
No, no. It's interesting. And so that's honoring that, understanding and honoring that sense that you're having in your heart. I mean, that's, we're all being called to start to listen to that inner voice, that inner wisdom, that inner knowingness.
Yeah.
And it's tricky because we have a programming that says you got to do. You're not going to get anywhere unless you get stuff done. We were just talking about that with that last card.
Right.
And so it's being peaceful with that and understanding that there is a time and a season for everything. I mean, that's such a beautiful concept, this idea of a time for growth, and a time for incubation, a time for thinking about things, a time for putting things out in the world. And so understanding and respecting your natural rhythms and your natural inclinations, because we know where we need to be. And often when we try to do something in the world before it's ready, as a friend of mine likes to say, it's like pushing water uphill. It just doesn't go. It's not in harmony with the flows of the energy of the planet, of our world. And this is, again, bigger picture piece. It's what we're being called to do, to harness our wagons to the larger energy forces and to go with those. And of course, we're all different. For some people, maybe this is the perfect timing for them, completely congruent, completely perfect for them to be in alignment and doing and being out in the world and putting their stuff out there. Wicked.
Yeah,
But
completely. And I just really appreciate this card because it's such a relief that comes with what I already know.
yeah.
You know, and as you know, my work is all about allowing, and yet there's a sense of responsibility, you know, and purpose. And so just allowing that program to just, you know, take a breath, take a step back, you know, do self-care, you know, just be with what is and enjoy. Yeah. So it's there's been that push pull, and I just really, really appreciate this card. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Now, what you need to know, what is supportive? And this is another major arcana. This is a card a lot of people get scared about getting when they have a reading. It's called the Devil. Oh, sorry, Death. We have the Devil too.
Yeah, right.
Another scary card. Anyway, Death is about profound new beginnings, profound changes. And so what this speaks of to me right now in your experience, or in this experience of what is supportive, is this deep releasing, this deep, you know, going with this deep transformation that we're all in the midst of. So that's supportive. This is what is supportive of you, is this transitioning energy and being with it and allowing it to carry you, allowing it to lead you, to go with your heart and your intuition and your instincts, understanding that, you know, when we come through this into the rebirth, into the new life, you know, you're going to need to be fully charged. You're going to need to be fully on deck. There's that sense for me, for you, that there is a releasing that's happening here of lots of it's like the death that we're currently going through collectively. You know, there's a lot that's changing. There's a lot that's being released, and there's always new life that comes out of the old. So this is sitting in your support position. So the sense to me is this going with the energy, allowing yourself to take this deep time of releasing, letting go, and nourishing yourself, taking care of yourself, because of this transition that we're moving into. It's not time. It's time for completion. It's time for, again, for just honoring this huge transition that collectively we're finding ourselves in. It's like we need people, conscious individuals who are holding space on this planet to do this releasing and this grieving and this letting go and this placing this somehow. There's something about this. You have been called. You have you're holding a space somehow for this, Maureen, is the sense that I'm getting. And I don't know if this is, you know, the ritual ceremony, allowing. There's just something around this that's here. Does it speak to you?
Very meaningful. Absolutely, yes. Very meaningful. Very right on. Thank you.
Okay. Good. Okay, so you feel complete?
Mm-hmm. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Okay. Now, Tina, do you want to do the same idea? Do you want to pull a card for support and a card for information around obstacles? Or is there
I
something else you
love
want to
that.
do? Yeah?
Oh, no, I would love that. And so it's about support. Okay.
What is supportive? What do you need to know about what is supportive for you right now?
Okay. I kind of feel the same, obstacles and support.
It's very likely. Oh.
Obstacles first and then support?
Sure.
Okay. I'll put the obstacle here and there's support. Let's start with the obstacle. So it's interesting because you also have a sword, which is, again, the suit of ideas and action. The card is balance. And it's about, so the balance piece is the obstacle in your situation or your story here is the sense that I'm getting. So this holding of balance, not getting pulled off your center, not getting rocked one way or the other, but really holding the balance. It's essential, or this is what's coming up. Again, this is your obstacle card. What do you need to know about your obstacle? It's about holding balance. It's about having more balance. It's about being in that state of grace between the things that pull you in different directions. And really, once again, coming back to the idea of deep listening. Where is it appropriate for you to be putting your energy, and where do you need to pull back? Where do you need to release, so that you can be in this state of balance between, in this case, it almost between 2 points. But in a sense, I mean, I get the sense it's more to three-dimensional. You have lots of different areas of your life where your energy goes, and being pulled to one side or the other can be off-putting. So this idea of being aware of the pulls in life, and then how to bring yourself back to your center so that you can be peaceful and resilient in the face of whatever life brings to you, that you have that centered, grounded place. Does that make sense?
I mean, it's thematic for my life, really. But it's also, as I get closer and closer and closer to kind of like as I get closer to the center of my own fire, which my life really feels like that right now. I hear it's really easy for me to be a spark. And there will always be sparks for me, but remember the center of the fire. So yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Good. And then what is supportive? What do you need to know about support? That's kind of a fun card. So the 10 of Pentacles, protection. And this is the card of legacy. This is the card of, it's Pentacles. Pentacles has to do with the material world, with material comfort, with things. It's the earth sign. And so with this card, it's you see there's a castle and there's people dressed up in costume at the bottom. It's sort of this idea of legacies, of things passing down through generations, of that could be family stories, identities. This could be creating a legacy. This can be, what does your family look like? But it's this idea of what is supportive for you is this idea of home, of continuity, and that doesn't necessarily, the image that often comes to mind with this one is those family houses in Europe that have been passed down for hundreds, even thousands of years, like this idea of a continuous line. But this idea here for you in terms of what is supportive is creating this container, this home, this space that is supportive and nurturing and comfortable and holds you in a good way. Again, the name of the card is protection. And so this it's not about accumulation of stuff. It's like it's more a state of mind, a state of being, a crafting of a container where you are held in a good way on the material realm so you can do all the good work that you need to do.
Mhm. Again, it's like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And what did I say when we first started the reading? I felt like this house was just waiting for me.
Mm,
Um,
nice.
yeah. And there's also a word that kept popping in my mind was ritual in there as well. But I hear the, it's for me, I always say just a soft place to land, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I really hear that, and I think I understand protection very much, because I mean also been using the word exposed lately, and
Yeah.
partly because I think when we really, or when as I start to really own what I do, what I love, what I'm made for, what I'm divinely placed here to do, it can feel very exposing.
Mm,
And to know that I have a home where I can land and restore is part of the protection of that exposure that I'm out in the world doing right now.
it's the balance to that, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay. So, any other things, any other questions, any other things you guys want to look at, or do you feel complete?
Question, is there anything that you are choosing for yourself?
Okay. So I'll do the same thing. Support and obstacle. Thank you, Maureen. You guys might have to do the interpretation.
Well, we'll mute so that you can have your...
Okay, so this is the support and this is the obstacle. Okay, so I'll start with the obstacle because that's a good tradition. Ha! So I have the sun here, which is card of high summer, of partnership, of good life, good home. And that speaks to me. I feel sometimes that my good life is so comfortable that perhaps I'm not being as out in the world as I could be. But it feels deeply nourishing and deeply supportive and deeply wonderful, and I feel so grateful for that. And again, this wondering about that obstacle piece. And then what is supportive?
That is very interesting, isn't it? Because that can lead to complacence.
Oh,
And yet, at the same time, the obstacle, maybe to fully appreciate what that allows as your container to expand and be in the world with your greater self, rather than it being an obstacle. Change your perception.
right. To having it more as a support and understanding it as that container, as that springboard that I can rely on as I step further out into the world.
Right.
I like that. Thanks, Maureen. Okay, and then what is supportive? Change. So Pentacles, material realm, you think about snakes, there's snakes on this one. And shedding the skin and starting new and doing something different. So there's energy around change being a supportive thing. It's kind of fun and scary at the same time. Yeah, and it's from the larger cosmic perspective. We are comfortable, our Western world, and what's familiar. We don't like change too much, because I am the microcosm of the macrocosm. Certainly, there's this sense of wanting to stay basking in the light and the sun and all the goodness. And how do we take that forward with us? How do we take those good pieces forward with us? Like we were talking about earlier, that celebration card. Really looking for the bits that light us up and bring our lives full of glory and sunshine, and celebrating them and using them as the catalyst for the change, the opportunity for the change, or the pieces that we want to bring into the change, the transformation. So for me personally as well, for us collectively, this idea of how do we change in a good way? How do we make a good new beginning that's fresh and supportive and takes all that we love with it and makes it good for everyone?
I just feel compelled to say this too,
Mhm.
that there might be something in the change card around whatever change is coming is actually for us and not against us.
Right.
Oh, I love that.
And because there's a lot of, we tend to put a lot of there's a lot of reframing going on, and not that that's bad, but there's also it's interesting that the change card is actually your support card.
Mhm.
And so it might there might be something there, should something show up that is where there's lots of change, to the reminder of the trust of that it's for you and not against you. Even right now for all of us, right?
Yeah.
What we're going through, it's for us, not against us.
Beautiful. I really love that distinction. Thank you.
Yeah. And the shedding of the skin, the allowing of the old to drop away because, the new is already within us.
Oh, that's good too. Wow, you guys are good. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for the suggestion, Maureen. Well, if we're feeling complete, I'll just say the closing intention and we'll close the reading. Thank you, Creator, for this opportunity to come together and hold space together. We thank you for the gifts of the clarity and wisdom you've sent our way. I ask that you walk with us, hold us in a good way, that we may return to our wonder and our celebration of life. Return to all those things that we cherish in our hearts and live them and celebrate them and wonder over them, and allow ourselves to wake up in that fresh state of new beginnings and eye-opened enjoyment of this wonderful creation that you've given us, so that we can reset our energy around that, be more connected with our world and with those things that are important to us, not from a place of have-tos or shoulds, but from a place of love and appreciation and joy and wonder and celebration, all those good, light, open-hearted words that carry the energy of what that Fool card means to all of us. Remembering that this time of change is an opportunity, and it's for us. It's in our highest and greatest good, and that we can use what we know of what we love to build a future collectively together that will serve all of our hearts and minds, spirits and souls, lead to tremendous satisfaction and fulfillment as we live harmoniously on this planet with all the others who also exist here, to be a collaborator and co-creator in a wonderful new world order. Thank you, Creator, for this opportunity to be of service. The reading is at an end. Thank you to all who've been part of this, holding this space together. We are complete. Thank you.